Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back to the info video. So we are going to be talking about the visa process, costs involved, and the timeline as well. But before we do that, where are we at?
We're in our house. We're finally a lot more settled.
We have most of our furniture.
We've got most of our things.
We've added some stuff in. So we're feeling we're in a good space.
We're in a much better space than we were last week.
And you started your first day of work. How was that?
Started work, so that's good as well. Obviously, it's going to take me some time to get back into the swing of things and also to learn the culture of work here. But I have started and it's good. So I'm excited.
And tomorrow you might venture into the city for your first official.
I might go tomorrow or the day after. I'm still deciding.
First day of work for him hasn't been the same experience for me because you've been covering a lot of the stuff in the house. So now it's me on my own, which is taking some adjusting, but we'll get there. We're just settling into a routine, which is great. So today we want to talk about visas. And I think that's something that a lot of people have got so many messages and comments specifically about visas, asking about the process, how long it took, and most especially the costs. So first and upfront, I think we want to say a move is not cheap, especially when you're looking at it with a family point of view and taking your family over. There does need to be a certain amount of savings that you do have and planning that needs to go into it.
And I think that'll be the case regardless of the country you're going to. I don't think any type of move will be cheap. And so it takes some time to plan and to save for all of those things. We're obviously talking about the visa, but there's obviously other costs as well, the moving costs, etc. But even from a visa perspective,
I think that was our biggest cost.
It can be quite expensive. It certainly was for us. I think we obviously need to talk about the types of visas. And so we've encountered 3 types of visas that could be applicable to people from outside of the UK. Again, we're not professionals, we're not immigration lawyers, and so this is just based on our research. The first is the ancestral visa. With the ancestral visa, you seem to need to have certain links in terms of your ancestry to the UK. Again, we're not really sure.
Because that wasn't obviously applicable
to us. It wasn't applicable to us. We're not really sure. Links. And I think the best way, so the UK government website is quite detailed and provides a lot of educational material on what is required. And I think the safest way is always to check the UK government website. I think it's gov.uk. And
I'll link it in our description.
You should have you'll find lots of detail there in terms of the ancestry, because those lines seem to change. They're adding in new lines, and so we can't be 100% sure. The next is the spousal visa, which I think from our research seems to be linked to you being a spouse of someone who is a British citizen. Again, wasn't applicable to us, so we don't have too much of detail. We haven't looked into it, but government website will be quite informative. And then obviously we came across on the skilled worker, or what they call the tier 2 visa. Again, lots of detail on the government website. And what that generally means, as we've spoken about previously, is that an employer would need to sponsor you. They need to be registered as a sponsor with the UK government, and there's certain requirements there. Once you get that part sorted, that you're eligible for a tier 2 visa, then you need to go through the process, which can be done on your own. We used an immigration lawyer, and the reason for that is because through my work processes, that process was done through a lawyer, and I thought it best to use the same lawyer to do the wife and 2 children visa. So those are called dependent visas.
So you went over on the skilled worker visa, and we went over as your dependents. Now that's where it gets tricky, obviously, and costly. And that's specifically why we wanted to talk about this, because if you were just going on your own, there's not as much of a cost implication.
I don't think so from a sponsorship perspective. What tends to be expensive is the dependent visas in terms of the fees and what they call an NHS surcharge. Again, the details are on the government website, and so those prices can change from time to time, and it'll usually be announced on the government website. But the NHS is the National Health Services here in the UK, which everyone has access to. But when you come over on a visa that's a tier 2 visa and dependents linked to those, there's generally a surcharge that you pay upfront, which is part of the visa application. That tends to be quite expensive. And we had to choose between a 3-year and a 5-year visa based on the costs. We went with a 3-year visa because from a cost perspective, it seemed to make more sense, and we can always do a renewal once the 3 years are up from the visa perspective.
Cost-wise, ballpark, what did it cost for the visa?
Okay, so I had to find the fees on my phone, but in terms of the fees, again, these are on the government's website. But the NHS surcharge, it seems for the dependent at the moment, was around £2,000. And again, that's, it's going to be subject to your exchange rate, what you can end up paying in your home country's currency. So for instance, if it's South Africa, it'd be rands. But it was around £2,000, give or take a couple of £100 up and down. I'm not 100% sure what it will be at the time. That's for the adult dependent. For the children dependent, so the minor dependents under the age of 18, it seems to be around 1,775 odd pounds each. And again, that can fluctuate up and down, and it's subject to your exchange rate. So £2,000, 2,020 pounds for an adult, and £1,775 and some change for minor.
And that was for the 3-year. So obviously going to the 5-year,
it's more.
It's more.
And then there's obviously an application fee that needed to be paid, and that was around at the time when we were paying, it was around 650 or 658 pounds, and that was for each person. So say between 610 and 660. Again, it's exchange rate dependent from a South African perspective, and that was for each of the applicants. So the adult dependent and the 2 children, 600, 600, 600. And I think that was the majority of the fees. Then obviously we had to pay some fees to the immigration lawyer as well. So the fees, you can find the exact amounts on the website, and then you can use that because lots of people do the application themselves. So if you're comfortable with gathering the information and putting it forward
and putting it all together, and
so I think what's important to remember with the visa, and I think that's the view that we took, is that when you do something incorrectly, it could severely prejudice your visa application.
It could make the time longer as well.
So if you have the time to really research and to ensure that all your documents are in order and everything that you're doing is up to the standard, then sure, you might be comfortable to do it on your own. We just didn't have the time to do that because of the way our process worked, and so we thought it better to just get a professional involved.
Okay, and the timeline. So obviously it happened quite quickly for us because you were offered a job and you started work basically in February. So that was like basically November to Feb. So let's talk about the timeline of the visa.
So part of the visa application process for the UK involves a TB test. And so each country will have centres that are managed by the UK government, or which the UK government is happy with the standards of, and which they say you need to go to that particular centre, book to do a TB test. There are doctors who do the TB tests for everybody who's on the visa application. So that's the main applicant and all the dependents. There are fees that need to be paid at the visa at the TB office, and those are also can be a bit expensive. They can be around 1,000 to 1,500 rand per person when we did it. But that is also what tends to take some of the time up, because
you're waiting for an appointment.
We were waiting for an appointment because they were so busy, because everyone who needs to go to the UK needs to get this TB test done depending on the visa, and so there's a lot of applicants in the line. So that's your ancestral, your spousal, and the tier 2. Everybody's booking appointments. So that took us, I mean, we had phoned at the end of November, and we got a booking for around the 29th of December.
No, 16th of December for the TB test.
16th of December, yes. Yes,
16th of December for TB test, and then we had our visa appointment. And they also won't give you the appointment for your visa
No, because that's part of the online process.
It needs to be. You need to do the TB test first. So you can't like say, okay, I'm going to book this for there and then go. It doesn't work that way.
So you need all the requirements that you would need for your visa application. You need to have before you can complete your online portal, and after which they will then give you an appointment.
Because the certificate of the TB test was part of the application to get the appointment.
Absolutely. So once you have all of that, then you need to apply for a date for your visa appointment, and that didn't take too long for us.
So we got an appointment. So 16th December was our TB test. We had an appointment on the 29th of December.
And we probably could have gotten it a bit earlier, but it was we were away and it was the festive period. So it's hard to tell because whatever we were doing was between the 16th of December.
Things were closing.
And the 10th of Jan. And so that might have impacted it. But once we had the TB test and all our documents in order and everything uploaded onto the profile, it didn't take that long for us to get the visa appointment.
In the interim though, we had already booked our flights. So we knew we were going to leave when we left. So we knew we were going to leave on the 25th or the 25th of January. So we had already booked our flights because we had faith in the process as well. And we were crossing fingers a little bit. So then we went for appointments on the 29th. The actual appointment was very fluid, very easy. We did have priority with the immigration lawyer, but it wasn't really necessary because there wasn't long lines. Again, you don't know, luck of the draw, really.
So I will say, what I will say there is that we paid a little extra for priority processing because one, it was for COVID reasons. So with the priority processing, they take you into a separate room. So you're not with other people.
And then with the kids, it was actually...
And then with the children. It just made it easier because then we had an appointment, we got in, our appointment happened at the time that it was meant to happen.
There was a little lounge, the girls could sit, play.
Half an hour and then we were out.
We were out, yeah. So that was actually quite fluid. And then we waited. The worst was the consultant that helped us said there's a lot of backlog because obviously COVID regulations were going up and down. They were opening, closing.
Yes. So what happened was during the COVID spike, when Omicron began,
and everything closed to us.
The UK closed its borders to South Africans who were coming through on visas other than right to work or right to live visas. And then they had opened up again just before we had gone for our appointment,
so
which meant that
people.
The month of backlog was also in the processing lines. And so they had said to us, so generally they have a turnaround time of 15 working days. And that's what they generally state to you is what they will endeavor to. But they couldn't give us that promise because of the major backlog.
So this lady was like, well, I don't know if you're going to get it by the date of your flight, but you'll definitely have your visa by the time you have to start work. And then we were like...
So I mean, that's also something positive, right? Because we were going on a skilled work or tier 2 visa. And so they looked at the date in which I was meant to start work because that's part of my certificate of sponsorship. And so they then said, what we will definitely do is ensure that you've got your visa before your start date. So you will be in the UK before you start work.
So the wait started and then we were on holiday actually. And when you you'll get an SMS, it comes from a UK number to say that they just say your documents are ready to be collected. They don't say success, denied, anything. You don't know until you pick up your passport. So your passports are sitting there. We had gone down to the coast to spend some time with family. But they also said when you get your SMS, you make a plan to get there as soon as possible, because you don't want to leave it there too long. In some instances, they send it back. So we were actually away and we were sort of trying to figure out what we were going to do. So that was the 29th of December. And then on the 14th of January, we got our SMSs. A few days before, we got SMSs for the girls, but we hadn't gotten all 4 SMSs. On the 14th of Jan, we got our confirmation. We got all 4 SMSs that they were ready. So we were like super chuffed. And that was a Friday, hey. And then on the Monday, we actually arranged, which you can sign an affidavit and give the documents to somebody to actually collect for you. So we were in luck. We had family around who very graciously took our documents and collected it for us. So on Monday, we got pictures from my sister saying, you guys are ready to go. It's also worth mentioning that when my sister fetched our visas, we qualified for a free SIM card with our application. This SIM card was loaded with data so we could be connected the minute we landed. You can migrate the SIM and number to a data plan once you arrive.
So it's not an affidavit, there's a form that they provide to you, which obviously the legal requirements are a bit different, but it's a simple form to fill out.
It's a simple form.
And then obviously the originals. So you can go and fetch it yourself, or you can send
Obviously
somebody.
we weren't around, so we wanted to just get it.
But they do say, which I think is important, they do say that you need to ensure that you pick your visa up swiftly. And that's what's interesting, because with our visa, it was a 3-month visa, and so we had 3 months to enter the UK, because when you land in the UK, that's when you get your biometric card. So it's called a BRP.
Which we got like a week after we were here.
So that's the actual card that you use. It's almost like a little ID card that you use as your visa, which is
to enter and exit.
So the first visa they give you in your passport is valid for 90 days. Well, that was the case for us, valid for 90 days. And so we had to get into the country and ensure we were there before the 90 days had expired. Then we picked up these cards, and now we can use these cards for the next 3 years whenever we enter and leave the UK.
So now we have a 3-year visa with those cards. So for us, it was 12 working days actually. So we got lucky. It was even shorter than the 15 working days. So we were very happy about that. And of course, now we're here sitting in our apartment in London, looking at a red bus going past right now. We have an apartment right on the street here. So it's really a nice view every day. It's been raining all day today, so we haven't been able to get out, but the views help. So if you enjoyed this video, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section and we will address them for you as well. And that's it from us. We'll be back with more information videos soon. So if there's anything else you want us to cover that we haven't already said we're going to be covering, please also drop a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like, share and subscribe.